let's get back to this progressive Christian triangle. So if you see the 3 points of the triangle, progressive Christianity can be characterized by theology, ethics, and politics. So if you think of it kind of like a triangle, there's 3 prongs that sort of make up what progressive Christianity is. I just talked with you about the theological angle of it, but there's also a political angle. In fact, I've shared this before on the podcast. There was some sociological research that was released a few years ago about the mindset of conservative Christians and progressive Christians when it comes to all sorts of things, but politics was one of those things. And one of the things that this study found was that progressive Christians tend to start with their political views, and then their theological views will flow out of that. So, for example, you're not going to find, maybe I'm wrong, but I have never come across a progressive Christian who also was like a conservative in politics. I feel like I can't even recall finding that. So again, I'm not saying it's not out there. I've never run into it. Progressive Christians tend to be very, very vocal politically, and they tend to be very, very much on the left. And what this sociological research showed was that they start with their political beliefs, and then they're going to derive their theological beliefs out of their politics. So whatever assumptions they might be making when it comes to maybe justice issues or things like that, they're going to morph their theology to fit that. So that's kind of the political point of the triangle. And then the third point of the triangle would be ethics. I don't know of any progressive Christian who is not strongly advocating for a change in the church's mind when it comes to biblical sexuality, marriage, and gender. So this is a pillar of progressive Christianity, is the ethics. And also, those ethics are going to flow along the lines of culture when it comes to things like adopting social justice ideologies and critical race theory. All of those 3 prongs are going to come together to sort of form the triangle that is progressive Christianity. So how to spot it will be, so theologically, you're going to be looking for people who are going to maybe be downgrading the Bible. The Bible, of course, is a book that contains a human element. When we talk about the doctrine of inspiration, we talk about how God inspired these writers, and he breathed his word out through them. So we see their personalities, we see their grammar styles, we see things like that reflected in the text, but it's the word on the page, the words on the page that are the word of God. Whereas in progressive Christianity, you can be looking for them to elevate the human element and devalue or demote the divine element. So there are not many progressive Christians that I know of that are going to be talking about the scriptures in their entirety from Genesis to Revelation as the fully inspired, fully authoritative, fully inerrant word of God that's internally consistent, telling the same story from Genesis to Revelation. So they're going to be kind of picking the Bible apart, pitting bits of it against other bits, and downgrading the divine element, elevating the human element. So that's some of the theological things you might be looking for. There's going to be a strong social justice bent on the political angle. I will say that Christians should be political. I think we should. I think we should be involved in politics. We have the amazing opportunity in this country to have a vote to where we can go vote against the greatest evils, which there are a lot of them right now. But progressive Christians and more conservative Christians are going to define those things differently. So whereas I think personally that abortion is one of the greatest human rights holocausts in the history of the world, progressive Christians are going to think that to deny a woman the right to get an abortion is actually harming her and oppressing her. So when this sociological research came out and found that actually conservative Christians start with their theology, and then their politics flow out of that, what that tells me is that I'm starting with my theology of thou shalt not commit murder, right? Thou shalt not murder. It's one of the 10 commandments. It's kind of a no-brainer. And so my politics is going to flow out of that. Whereas for the progressive Christian, I don't know, maybe they're starting with the idea that it is oppressive to women, and so they're going to be pro-abortion. And then, but that's part of the ethic angle as well, which often overlaps with politics. So you're going to see a lot of advocacy for LGBTQ inclusion in the church. There's going to be left-leaning politics, and there's going to be a theology that's going to deny major crucial points of the gospel along the way.